So yeah, excuse the water on the floor. I might have made a mistake this morning in the fact of leaving a tap open and running, so that was my bad, but I'm going to mop that up in a minute. What is up, everyone? I don't know if I should start with that every time. It's probably really loud out here as well because all the waterfalls and the displays are running. But I'm back in my shop. Now, loads of you in the comments have been asking for, well, not for, how all the displays are getting on. So the Blackwater discus tank, loads of you have asked about Buster, the 8 for African tank, the Tanganyikan tank. Tons of you have been asking about all those tanks. So today, I thought I'd do a big sort of zoom and whip around the shop to show you exactly all of the displays and everything that's happened to them. You know, we've tweaked a few bits and pieces, we've moved a few bits and pieces. Yeah, it looks really, really good. I'm really happy with how they've all come out. I am on a new bit of tech that I've bought as well. I've bought a gimbal, which has confused the life out of me how it works. So if suddenly the camera falls over, that's because of the gimbal's died or I've done something wrong with it. So I suppose the first thing, actually, let me walk you here. Everyone who asks which shop I work at, it's this one. Maidenhead Aquatics at Taunton. That's the shop that I run down in the southwest of England. But without further waffling, let's get into the shop and have a look around all of these wicked display tanks. Right, so I'm really hoping I unlocked the door this morning. Yes. We normally enter via the other side of the shop. So this is as you walk into the shop. Loads of you are probably familiar with it from MD Fish Tank's video. We'll get to this one in a minute because this is the African 8-foot. We'll get to that one in a minute. I'm going to start on the right and go around the shop. Now this is the Tanganyikan tank. So this is, maturing really, really well, to be honest. It had a bit of a rough start because it got caught with a bit of hair algae and things. So it was a bit of a challenge to work on that. But now that it's settled in, it is doing really, really well. Obviously, you can see the Fairy Cichlid or the Brashadi babies in the middle there. It's really cool, actually. Fairy Cichlids are wicked because they keep back a few of the babies from the previous batch. And then you end up with a family unit. So you can see that little baby there. In most other cichlids, those would try and eat the baby cichlids, but they try and protect those babies. So you end up with this like really cool family dynamic in fairy cichlids where they're all protecting the young, which does mean it gets a bit of a nightmare in an aquarium sometimes because, yeah, they do end up in their thousands. But yeah, we'll just have to see how that goes as they sort of grow up. But you've got the shell dwellers down on the bottom here. So those little guys have done... Oh, told you I wouldn't get used to the gimbal yet. Those guys are doing really well. We've had a few babies from them. So little baby back up and under the rock there. And there's normally a baby that lives in this shell here. Oh, there he is, look. Right on cue. So yeah, the shell dwellers have bred a few times. I think we need to pop some more shells in there, actually, because they seem to have buried a few of the shells. And now they haven't got enough spaces for them all to live. So yeah, we might have to put some shells in there and get them going. And then the sardine cichlids are at the top. So these are the sort of slender looking fellows up here. Now, there is a male. So you can see the blue and the yellow of the male there. And then the females are the sort of silvery ones. Now, they've done really well. They actually have spawned a few times. We haven't had any babies from them yet. They're still young. And obviously there's a lot of mouths in the aquarium that could sort of predate on them. So yeah, we haven't had any babies from the sardine cichlids yet, but we'll get there. I'm sure we'll get a few at some point. But yeah, there's a few leaves that need to come off the Amazon sword here because they've just sort of got old and the new fresh leaves are looking better at the top. But all in all, it's settled in really, really nicely. And with the amount of babies that we're getting sort of coming up through, it's a really cool tank to watch. after the Tanganyikan tank, you've actually got the Fluval Sienna Pea Puffer tank. Oh, actually, saying that, how do I make that go up? There we go. Shout out to Fishing Cat Designs. She's designed all these stickers that we're now selling in the shop. So there's, yeah, Buster is up in a sticker. We've got clownfish. We've got some Bolivian rams, tiger barbs. There's a little shoal of neon tetras as well, which I think is really cool. Little shoal of endless guppies as well. So yeah, we're selling them in the shop now, which is really, really cool. But you can check her out on Instagram and Facebook, and I don't know what else she's got. Oh, she's got an Etsy store, that's where it is. So yeah, I'm loving those stickers. She's really, really good at like designing all the stickers. But anyway, back onto the displays. The next one is the Fluval Sienna Puffer Aquarium. So this one is, well, fairly old now actually. It's going in really, really well. Obviously, first off on the planting, that's Crypt Balance, which is the crispy sort of crinkled leaf crypt. There's several names that they seem to go under. I don't know if there's several species, but there's Balance, there's Crispulata, there's, I don't know, 3 or 4 other ones that all seem to look the same and be a similar plant. But again, this one's grown in really, really well. We have to keep the moss sort of trimmed back because it does go a little bit mental after a while if we let that moss go nuts. But it's settled in really well. Actually, the bristle noses are getting big. Look at those ones. They're looking really good. They just give us a hand cleaning. But the glow light Danios sort of ball and shoal up in this area here. So yeah, they look really good because they don't sort of come out into open water all that much. They sort of venture out like that one does there, and then they fire back into the sort of cover of the plant, which is really, really cool. And then look at all the puffers. There is so many of them. Don't know if that'll focus nicely because he is like buzzing about really, really well. But yeah, they look so, so good. But it's settled in really well. I love the sort of striking wood that sort of comes out into that sort of pointy, I don't know how you'd describe it, but it's almost like an explosion, I suppose. I suppose. But yeah, loving this aquarium. It looks really, really cool. You can even view it down from this end as well, which looks even more amazing. But yeah, what else do we have in there? Oh, we have the high fin barbs. Where are they? Oh, they're down in this bottom bit here, look. So there's the little group of high fin barbs buzzing about. So the females don't have the high fin, and you can see the male there above. He has that large dorsal fin that sort of extends up over his body. So they're really, really smart little fish. We also have, where are they? The Indian glassfish. There they are. So again, a little bit of hair algae in this aquarium, just because, in all honesty, the Balance has taken over, and the filter is, unfortunately, in behind there. So there's a little bit of a flow issue at the moment, which is why we've added one of the little Oase surface skimmers up in the top there. So that's just keeping that surface sort of clean and clear. And now we're just on the fight of getting some sort of carbon dosing in here and getting rid of that hair algae. But in all honesty, it's quite a natural aquarium. I don't mind the algae. I think it looks cool. It sort of adds a touch of realism to it. I think, you know, if you haven't got algae, well, you're lying. That's the point. You haven't got algae, you are definitely lying. But yeah, the Indian glassfish have done really well, and they've just settled really nicely. I just really like the naturalistic sort of style of this aquarium, how it all settles in and how it's all grown. I think we do need to clear out a load of that Balance though. That does need to come out. But again, settled really nicely and looking really cool. Excuse the big puddle, I might have made a mistake with a tap this morning on the plant tanks, so I did overfill slightly one of the plant aquariums. Luckily there's no fish in there, it's just plants, so they didn't seem to mind it. But this is Buster's aquarium. Obviously Buster taking central stage, aren't you, buddy? But we've got the rays in here, we've got some big cichlids in here. Yeah, it's great. And we have just added these two massive, if I step back a bit you'll be able to see them, two massive Swiss cheese plants that look great. So we've just propped them up on some plant pots and then put them in the plant pot at the top there, you can see. They're looking so, so good. And once they get their roots down into the water, they are going to go absolutely mad. Well, they're already fairly big now, but they're only going to get bigger. But yeah, we've got some big cichlids in here. We've got the big stingrays in here. Yeah, they're just looking really cool. This is actually a, I don't know if I can focus on him. This is a parrot cichlid, but it's not the parrot cichlid that most people know, the reddy sort of pinky one. This is actually a wild parrot cichlid. No relation to the reddy pinky one at all. Just share the same common name. So yeah, they're quite cool. We've got some cinspillums, which are a big, well, they're not at the moment, but they're a big Central American cichlid once they start growing up, so they're really cool. They'll be like, well, you can see the colours on them now, reds and golds and blues, and yeah, they're going to look awesome in here once they're bigger. But there's all sorts of stuff in here, to be fair. You've got the rays. Where's that? Oh yeah, there you go. So that's one of our sucker mouth catfish that live in here. That's a Sabaji, or an L75, sorry. Yeah, really nice little sort of sucker mouth catfish. We have got the Adonis and the Panak in here, but yeah, they've not woken up yet this morning. This tank does need a bit of a rescape at some point. It's needing it. That's why we've done the sort of plants in the background, because, well, they just look good. But we do need to do a big rescape. But none of us fancy doing it, because in all honesty, well, you can't get in there because you've got the stingrays. I don't really fancy catching all the rays out, if I'm honest, because that would be an absolute mammoth task. So, yeah, we've got to work out what we want to do. It might just stay the same and just have a few tweaks rather than a big rescape, because, to be fair, now those plants are in, it does actually make it look a little bit better and a little bit more jungly. So it might just stay like this and have a few tweaks made to it. But the next tank... Next tank has actually moved. It's just around the corner. Actually, before I get onto the other tanks, I've realised I haven't turned the light on their tank. Thought I'd do this one, which is the slanted stream aquarium that we done a little while ago now. So we've just left this one really to go a bit wild. You know, the pothos up there is now rooted into the water down here, and it's just sort of sat in the flow, really, really loving life. So we've just left them to sort of grow up there. And then we've got these awesome rainbow shiners that are colouring up beautifully. They are so, so cool. And obviously you can see the zebra Danios buzzing around with them. There is a group of hill streams. This one actually is a customer's that brought back. So he's really large. He is very, very old and a slightly different species to the one that we put in here. So we put in these more sort of darker, drab sort of hill stream loaches, but they've done really well. You can watch them sort of playing in the flow every now and again. She's here. That's awful. I hate those jokes. But it's done really cool. There you go. There's a whole group of them there. Look. There's like 3 or 4 of them sat on the rock there all buzzing about if the zebra Danio would get out the way. So yeah, again, like the colours on these rainbow shiners is just insane. For a sort of temperate or cold water fish, as it were, they're probably some of the best coloured fish. And they're just so easy to look after. Give them, you know, a lot of flow, a nice oxygenated, clean aquarium. The zebra Danios and them have just thrived. And this Alodia has obviously gone absolutely mad. We pull handfuls of that out every now and again just to keep it sort of down. But yeah, love this. It's such a simple aquarium. I've got plans that I might do a massive one of these sort of big, I don't know, cold water stream sort of aquariums. But we'll see. I've got too many plans and not enough time, so I think I need to put it on the back burner for the minute. Also, I've just realised that we've got tons of boxes on shop floor. We don't normally have tons of boxes on shop floor, but we had our roof replaced the other day outside, and our storeroom needed to be emptied. So yeah, we have got a lot of boxes on shop floor. But this is the guppy tank that we've done with MD. We've actually just had to move this one to the other side of the shop. So it sort of went through a bit of an upheaval the other week. But again, it's grown so well. We need to get rid of some of that floating plant. But it looks so, so good. Just so simple, you know, dragonstone, some of the sort of viney sort of wood in here, and just tons of easy to grow plants. You've got the stem plants in the back, sort of creating that real dense jungle for them to hide in. And then you've got all the mosses and all of the sort of anubiases and bucephalandras in front. And you can see by the amount of babies that we've got, you know, you can see them all up there. They have done really well. But yeah, simple tank. Like, that's the nice thing with this tank, is it's super achievable. Like, if you want something simple that looks really nice and just is easy to maintain, something that grows like this is just the best way to do it, especially with the floating plant that's up on top, because that just zaps out any excess nutrients and makes sure that, you know, everything is kept in check. You know, your nitrates and your phosphates are all kept at, well, near zero, because of the amount of plant growth that's going in there. So yeah, really cool tank. I was tempted to sort of recreate this one in a tank at home, but I think I've got to do something different. You know, I can't copy MD, can I? That would be awful. I've just realised as well, actually, we haven't added any cleanup crew to this aquarium. There's no bristlenoses, there's no ottos, there's no amano shrimps. That's normally a staple of, you know, these aquariums, but actually it's done really well. You can see a tiny bit of sort of algae on the wood there, but the good thing is that will provide a sort of, well, a base level food for all the guppy babies. So that's probably why it's kept so clean. You know, guppies are vegetarian, they are herbivores, they are gonna want all of that algae, so they're actually probably eating that themselves and just keeping it clean. I've just noticed some floating plant actually caught up down here, like this, in the moss. Get rid of that. That's better. But yeah, how great is that? Such a simple little scape in, like, a beginner tank. Now, after the guppy tank, we are over there, where I've left the office door open. That is our discus blackwater, so let's go and have a look at that one. So this is the discus blackwater. Now, originally, we put some stenker discus in, which were, I can't remember, Santarems or one of the wild style stenker discus in here. Now, we've actually moved them out. We work with a local zoo, Tropiquaria Zoo. Me and MD actually went and visited that in one of our videos. I think you can scroll back through his channel and find it. But we gave the discus that were in here to Sean, who runs the zoo. So he's now got them in one of his display aquariums. And we actually bought some new discus for here. Unfortunately, Stenka discus are stopping breeding, so we can't buy them in anymore. So it's one of those things that there's not a lot of point to have Stenka discus on show if we can't buy them in. But in here, if I hopefully might entice them out, here they come. So these are a group of Brazilian wild discus. So these are what are known as heckle discus. So they have that black bar on the side of their body. Obviously it's early in the morning, so they haven't all woken up yet. And they're all still sort of a little bit shell-shocked by someone being in this early and actually possibly offering them food. But they have settled really well. And, you know, you can see how responsive they are. And just their coloration is gorgeous. Like, they're so lovely. They're going to bite my finger now, look. So yeah, we've got them in there now. So there's a group of 12 wild discus in here, these heckles. And as I say, they've sort of settled really well. Well, you can see how they're coming up for food. We've still got all the original fish that were in here with them in the black water. So we've got the little Bolivian rams down here, which are just... They really suit a black water tank, actually, because they're not sort of too showy. They sort of blend in, which is quite nice. So they're really, really cool. We've got the gold tetras that have got really big now. And again, because of that sort of gold coloration, they sort of blend into that yellow sort of black water style aquarium. And there is Otocinclus and there is whiptail catfish in here as well. The problem with both of them... Oh, and Corydoras. There's Corydoras in here. They do like going through the leaf litter, and you don't always see them. So there's a Corydoras just back there. That's a Venezuelan orange, so they've got the sort of orangey markings to them. Oh, here you go. There is a whiptail just down in there. So you can see his head. So yeah, there's a whiptail right behind. You can sort of see his body. He blends in really, really nicely with the botanicals and the leaf litter. But I really like this tank. It's a sort of... The botanical method is quite a new thing. It's quite cool. Obviously, we've got the... Oh, that's a bit bright, isn't it? There we go. We've got the... what is that? That's a peace lily. And there is some sort of monstera bits mixed into it. So there's sort of an amalgamation of a couple of plants growing out the top there. And then just that big sort of swathe of sort of viney, twiggy wood coming down into the aquarium. But... You know, for how natural this aquarium is, and I'll be honest, for how much work we do to it, it keeps itself ticking along really nicely. You know, it gets water changed, it gets fed, and yeah, it's about it really. It just ticks along, and this group of discus are just, oh, they're just amazing. I keep wanting to do it. I keep wanting to take discus home, but I don't have the time at home to be keeping discus. I don't have the time to water change them. And yeah, it's just not fair on them. So I'd rather keep them in here where there's 5 or 6 of us looking after them. Whereas obviously in my home, it would just be me. So I think it's much better. There's a few Venezuelan oranges disappearing off. But yeah, it's done so well. Obviously the floating plant on top of this one has gone a bit mad. This is Salvinia. Or fairy wings. So... It's, yeah, a little bit mad how quickly it grows. But again, that's part and parcel of keeping this aquarium clean, is that absorbs all the nutrients out of the water. You know, there's very little nitrates, very little phosphates, and it just helps us keep this aquarium clean. Last on the list after the discus blackwater is our 8-foot, which is all the way on the far side of the shop over there. So let's go for a wander. There's the Tanganyikan tank where we started on one side of the shop. And here is the 8-foot African river. So this has got Congo tetras. It's got Alestes longfin tetra. It's got Dabawi cats. What else has it got in there? The jewel cichlids, the crebensis, barred barbs, the ropefish that you'd have seen on my last video. I've done a little fish file video on those boys. And they are wicked. I'm in love with them. They're so good. But yeah, there is literally all manner of African river fish in here, and they are just amazing. So in here, plant-wise, we've got the onion plant that comes up from this corner. You can sort of see him back there, down in there. So that's an onion plant, crinum. Now, he is one of the biggest sort of grassy plants in this aquarium. He comes up all the way over here and actually spreads and touches down here. So yeah, he is one of the biggest ones that we've got in here. And then there's obviously a big wall of vallis in the back. So you've got all of that vallis just hiding and giving all the fish somewhere to swim through and somewhere to sort of hide away. Big bits of wood, all the Nubiuses on it. So hello, Mr. Ropefish. How you doing? I'm good, thank you. It's too early. But yeah, all the Anubiuses that are growing on the woods and the rocks. So you've got loads of different species. Nanas, hastifolias up in the top there. I think there's Batari in here. Yeah, we put a few different species in here. And it just works so, so well. Irritatingly, we put the dwarf sag in the front here, which is fine. It's clinging on to life. But someone keeps nipping it. So you get new leaves like these here. And then in a couple of days' time, the tips of them will be missing. And yeah, they're sort of hanging on, but they're not growing very quickly because whoever it is... Oh, both ropefish, look at that. Whoever it is that is nipping them is just keeping them trimmed down, which is good, I suppose, in a way. I've got my money on the barred barbs. I have seen some of the tetras go for it as well, so I think it could be anyone, really, to be honest. But it looks good. It's fine. It's hanging on. It's okay. We could do with having it a little bit sort of more full in the front. We thought it was going to fill in these front areas, but yeah, it's just getting nipped back because of the plant. Because of the plants? Plants aren't nipping the plants. Fish are nipping the plants. But yeah, I think my favourite fish in here is probably these Congo tetras. Just that sort of orange and blue. The males are just amazing, really. They look so, so good. And obviously the females are a little bit duller in colour. The females are these sort of silvery ones that you're seeing in about here. Thank you, Mr. Ropefish, for making an appearance. That's great. Love it. But they do, like, you know, you don't see them in shops. You see these sort of Congo tetras, and they're really juvenile, really silver, and they don't show any of their colours. But once the males get up to these sort of fully grown, bright adult colours, they just look phenomenal. And I quite like, well, I just like it all, to be honest. The Dabawi cats. So they're an African glass catfish. They're not very glass, if I'm honest. You can't really see through them. And they're super fast. So yeah, you will just see fleeting movements of them. I won't be able to focus in on them. And then you've got, like, these are MD fish tanks crebensis. So they're the cribs that he brought in. They were all really small and all really juvenile, but they're now growing up. So that's a little male there. He has been trying to entice a female into that cave for quite some time, and he's not succeeded. We've got the Takana jewel cichlids as well. Excuse the shadows in the background. It is super sunny outside today, and I really can't do anything about the door. I think I'm going to have to buy some screens for the door, so when we film, it covers all of that brightness over. But yeah, and then you got the little barred barbs. Of course you would run away, thanks. Let's go for this one. Let's try this one out. That's in the shininess. There you go, there's a little barred barb. And again, they just add something small, something different to the bottom of the aquarium. And they just, yeah, it just works really, really well. And this is what you see when you walk through the door. You know, you are hit by that big aquarium. You can see Buster's aquarium. You can just sort of make out Buster down there. And then you've got the Tanganyikan and the Pea Puffer aquarium on your right. You know, you are just surrounded by, I suppose, inspiration, really. I think that's part of fish keeping. You know, it's all great being able to see the fish, and the fish are exciting. But if you haven't got inspiration, you don't really know what to do with your aquarium. And when you've got something like this, it's just brilliant. This is where I stand, actually. So this is me stood at my till. My till is right in front of me here. And this is where we stand to serve customers. So you can't get a much better till area than this. Like, yeah, I really can't complain at my job, can I? So that is all of the display tanks in Maidenhead Aquatics Taunton, where I work, where MD Fish Tanks comes to help us set up the aquariums. That is all of them. We have got plans for loads more. We've got plans for some more nano aquariums. We've got plans for, what else have we got plans for? So much, so many. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. Obviously, if there's anything you want to see, anything you want to see in my shop more of what we do, how we do it, I've got some plans for some videos of showing you how the shop runs, so what we do on a daily basis, feeding and water changing and things like that. They're going to be coming up, so that'll be cool. I think that'll be interesting. But let me know in the comments what sort of things you'd want to see. It's a very interesting insight I have into the aquarium industry. It's quite a tricky one. Not tricky. It's not tricky at all. It's not tricky. It's quite. Anyway, I'm going to shut up. Whatever you want to see, let me know. I'll try and get a video done for it, time permitting. But I'm hoping soon more time will be available to me. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed it. See you in the next one. Don't know what it's going to be, but it'll be cool, whatever it is.